A special report from ABC4 News. Academics amid the pandemic.
Thank you for watching this ABC4 special report. I'm Emily Clark. When it comes to reopening schools, so much still remains up in the air, leaving parents and teachers to deal with the uncertainty. One major uncertainty is knowing just how susceptible children are to COVID-19. Taking a look at the data, children 14 years old and younger make up 7% of all Utah cases. We have 176 cases of children under 1 year old. 2,500 children ages 1 to 14 and 8,500 cases among people 15 to 24 years old. The state health department says it's possible these numbers will go up as kids go back to school.
Schools, of course, are the perfect type of a setting for viruses to spread. This is not going to be the school year to tough out a cold and to send your kids to school with a runny nose or a cough or a fever like you may have in the past.
Doctors say while all children are capable of contracting COVID-19, they do not get as sick as often as adults. And they say only a handful of Utah children have ended up in the ICU. However, a new study out of South Korea indicates children older than 10 and teens can spread the coronavirus just as often as adults do. As parents grapple with the decision whether or not to send their kids back to school, how can they evaluate the risks? One way is a new online tool designed to help you calculate chances of exposure to the virus. ABC4's Rick Aaron reports.
Georgia Tech and the Applied Bioinformatics Laboratory created the COVID-19 Event Risk Assessment Planning Tool, an interactive map that allows you to determine the chance that at least one person infected with the coronavirus will be present somewhere based on location and size of the crowd. By applying this data to Utah public schools, which typically have a few hundred to a few thousand students, teachers, and staff on campus every day, the data is concerning, especially given our crowded classrooms. Insurance comparison website Insurify recently did a nationwide study on pupil-to-teacher ratios.
Out of the 50 states, Utah has the third highest pupil-teacher ratio. There are about 22.75 students per teacher, whereas the national average is 15.49. So that's about a 32% difference. It's not even limited to classrooms. This poses risks for lunch and recess where students are running around or in hallways.
According to the Georgia Tech map, there is a wide range of risk depending on location and number of students. For purposes of example, we compared an urban and a rural high school. West High School in Salt Lake City has an enrollment of 2,840 students. Zoom in on the map and you see the current risk level is greater than 99%. On the other hand, Emory High School in Castledale has just 591 students. The map reveals a less than 1% chance of someone with COVID-19 present at a gathering of that size there. Still, Leff, whose company is expanding into health insurance quote comparisons, had this conclusion.
The risk of reopening schools in Utah is one of the highest in the nation. Unless serious changes were to be made to reduce the number of students per classroom, reopening schools in Utah would be a pretty big risk.
Rick Aaron, ABC4 News.
One group that feels stuck in limbo is parents of children with autism. They're speaking out about their schooling struggle come the fall. ABC4's education correspondent Sarah Martin has their story.
Students on the autism spectrum may need different things out of their education, but we're now learning that they may also be more at risk for complications from COVID-19. So parents are worried and they're wondering, is it safe to send my kids to school?
Parents Cassie and Carl have 4 children, 3 are on the spectrum.
There's a lot of extra that comes along with educating an autistic child.
They say the couple of months of online worked for some of their kids, but not for others.
My oldest son, however, it's a learning skills classroom, which, like I said, teaches classroom behavior. How do you do that over the internet?
Now the school year is just weeks away and they're still making decisions about if and when to send their kids back to the classroom.
We really have not 100% set on anything other than my oldest son should stay home.
If you already have a hard time communicating and it's harder to understand people with a mask on, that's going to be even harder and more frustrating for him.
For their oldest, the pair is working on getting Minecraft education. For their younger kids, the decision is coming down to a compromise between mental and emotional health and physical health.
It's sad that I have to weigh the two. They should be hand in hand, but in this situation they're not. In 2012, the CDC came out with a statement that said those who have neurological disorders, which would be autism, are a high risk for complications for the flu. There's not enough known about COVID as to whether it falls under the same thing, but I'm assuming better safe than sorry.
Both parents say the school plans need to have clear guidelines on what happens if someone on campus tests positive before they make a final decision.
It's like constantly living in limbo. We just don't know. We're still waiting. We're still waiting.
Reporting, I'm Sarah Martin, ABC4 News.
Coming up, programs that identify and assist children with special education needs early on are struggling amid the pandemic. Their plans to continue to help children in the age of COVID. Next.
You're watching ABC4 News, Academics Amid the Pandemic.
Welcome back, everyone. We do appreciate you joining us tonight. As the world determines how to best move forward with school in the fall, one group who may not get as much attention are the children who need special care. Whether it's a physical or a mental delay, or a home where there needs to be extra help to allow a child to thrive. Today we're talking to a group providing this attention and care. DDI Vantage serves families in Utah, specifically in the Salt Lake City area. With the pandemic, their individual care has become more difficult, but still desperately needed. Tonight, Megan Boyd, the Early Intervention Program Coordinator, joining us to talk about what they do and how, despite a pandemic, they continue to help our community's children. We're so glad you're here with us tonight. Megan, let's first start about early intervention. What is it? And talk to us about what you and your team of therapists are doing for children in our community.
Thanks, Emily. Early intervention is a federal and state mandated program for children 0 to 3 years old with delays or disabilities, and we do the coaching or the working with the children in home visits. So during this period of COVID, we have had to pivot and go to virtual visits.
Now let's talk about, when you say an in-home visit, this is what makes early intervention so special and important, is you're working with the child in their territory with their parents to figure out ways for them to best develop despite maybe some issues that they're facing. So let's talk about pre-pandemic, how you made that work and how that was so important for each specific child.
Okay. Pre-COVID, it was very straightforward. We have a variety of professionals. We have physical therapists, occupational therapists, special educators, speech language therapists, nurses, child development specialists, and they all go into the homes of children and provide individual services to these children's individual needs. And so we would do home visits throughout the month with families, teach the families how to work best with their child. And then we would leave, have the families work on those strategies, those activities with their child, come back, tweak it a little bit, help them talk about what came up while we were gone, and then we do the same thing over and over, just through home visits.
And then in the end, the child would thrive and grow, and the issues that they face, while they still might be there, they would help to overcome them. So now let's talk about the pandemic. You're having to do a lot of this virtually. So talk about how, despite the issue of not being able to go into the home, you still continue to help these children and their families.
Yes, so we are still up and running and seeing kids. We're doing it through Zoom or virtually for all the children we can. Some of the children who don't have that technology or their families, we do it through the telephone. But with Zoom, we are doing our visits with families, and it is going fairly well. It's really teaching the parents or the guardians to be their child's coach or teacher and not rely on us so much. So that's a really great thing that we've seen come out of this.
Now let's talk about, this is what I think is so important, is that a lot of families might not want to have to deal with this challenge and they're just accepting this is what it is. But every child, despite what delay they might have, what challenge they have, your teams can really identify what they're dealing with and help them overcome that, whether it's in person or virtually. That is something your team's able to do.
Yes, we are able to really look at the child as an individual and help those families, even during this time. And if the visit doesn't go well because it is virtual and because of that child's specific needs, it's okay. We're there to support the families, talk about what's going on, any way we can help in the community, if we have community resources. We're really there for support and to teach the children and families how to work with this child with delays or disabilities.
So let's encourage everyone at home right now that even though the world is kind of weird around us, we still need to focus on our children. We need to get them all the resources that they can get. And you are really the first place to start to get that help.
It's true. Kids, you know, between birth and 3, their brains are so malleable and flexible, and they're learning and growing. And this is still a really, this is really an important time for them, even though we've all gone virtual. We still need to get in there, help kids, give the parents ideas, support them, and really just try to get through this together as best as we can.
Now, how can someone sign up if they have a little one at home between the ages of 0 and 3? That's really your specific group that you're targeting here. If they have some concerns, if they have some worries about their child's development, kind of walk us through the process of getting that evaluation, signing up, and beginning on the path towards overcoming that.
Yes, so DDI Vantage is a nonprofit, and we work with the boundaries in 4 different school districts. So we really do the birth to 3-year-olds in Granite School District, Salt Lake City School District, Tooele, Murray School District, and Duchesne School District, or Duchesne County. And so if you have any, if you want a free evaluation and you want to refer your child to our program, please look us up at ddivantage.com or .org. And we have all the information on our website, telephone numbers. You can do the referrals online even. And please know that we're not the only early intervention program in Utah. There's actually 15 different programs because we are not competitive. So if we can't help you because you don't live in our boundaries, there are other programs, other early intervention programs in the state that will help you.
Megan, I love that. Such an important point to bring up, that no matter where you live in our state, there are people just like you who are going to offer so much help and assistance. Despite the pandemic, despite everything going on, the help for these little ones does continue. Megan, thank you for joining us today. We're so happy to have you with us, and thank you for the work you do for our community.
Thank you.
My daughter was one of them, part of that. Okay, coming up, more academics amid the pandemic. We continue our conversation after the break. I'll pull it together, I promise, with a look at Head Start, a crucial part of the development for so many young children.
You're watching ABC4 News, Academics Amid the Pandemic.
Welcome back, everyone. We continue our conversation about educating not just our K-12 children, but the little ones in our communities who need a little extra boost as they grow and develop. Martha Velasco joins us. She is the Early Head Start Coordinator for DDI Vantage. Martha, thanks for being here today. We just talked about how the pandemic has made the work for DDI Vantage so difficult, but it does continue. Let's talk about Early Head Start, what you do in your facilities across the valley.
Thank you, Emily. We serve families in Salt Lake County and in Tooele County. We are primarily in our home-based program serving families who are pregnant, just brand new parents, and infants and toddlers. And in our child care program, we have 6 fantastic partnerships with daycares. And we certainly are adapting and supporting families and their children at this time.
Let's talk about the pandemic. How has it changed what Head Start does for the families that you work with?
So we immediately got some guidance from our national funder, which is the Office of Head Start. We are a federal to local program, and they gave us flexibility and the opportunity to make decisions to support the families. And we immediately made sure that the health and safety of our families and our children were taken into consideration. The staff continued their jobs. They needed to work from home, and we made sure that they had the technology to support our families.
Let's talk about the support for your families, because you're helping not only these little children really have a great foundation and helping them learn, but you're a huge support for the parents as well, helping to empower them and to teach them the best way to raise their children. So talk about how virtually you're able to still deliver those lessons and continue to teach these families that you care for.
So parents are the primary source of knowledge in their household. They know their children well. And so we individualize and have our staff make sure that they have the resources to provide the preparation that we call school readiness. And even school readiness is done as an early age. We have had very successful socializations in our home-based program where the families zoom into the call. They experience a story with their child, activities. They even have a snack lesson, but it's all about their child's development.
So as you're looking at the future of Head Start, hopefully things will go back to normal, but do you think that the pandemic has helped your team learn on better ways maybe to empower those families?
Absolutely. We've had to quickly pick up the knowledge of knowing how to best serve families with the adaptation. We even have figured out how to do interpretation through Zoom. We serve Spanish-speaking families. We serve families that are Nepali-speaking and just a number of languages. So our staff have had to just quickly empower the families to really participate. And so that is our message, to make sure that the families know that we are there for them, not to be afraid to be in communication with us. We've created some terrific videos on our website where they can actually see how we are empowering families especially right now.
Such an important resource for our community, as you always have been. Martha, you've been part of Head Start for quite some time. You've seen the good work that it does. So in our final seconds here of this conversation, just remind people at home that if they need extra help, if they're in a younger family and they need some help and guidance, you guys are there for them.
The experience of Head Start of 50 years and approximately about 18 years of DDI Vantage Early Head Start services has been just a tremendous source of resources in the community. We now have 6 child care partnerships as well that we serve, following all the licensing strict guidelines as well. So we are a very comprehensive program. We provide mental health, resources in nutrition, just a wealth of resources that families can access. We are a part of the Utah Head Start Association, so we're all throughout Utah as well. And go to our website and gather more information, but we are a wealth of information for families from 0 to 3.
Oh, yes, you are. Martha, thanks so much for joining us. And as she said, please go to our website, abc4.com. When you get there, we will connect with DDI Vantage and all the resources which they offer, as well as the statewide resources as well. Martha, thank you so much.
Thank you, Emily.
Coming up on Academics amid the pandemic, most bus drivers are more likely to become severely ill than the students they transport. The efforts that go into keeping buses safe for everyone.
You're watching ABC4 News, Academics amid the pandemic.
Welcome back. Going back to school during the coronavirus pandemic will be more challenging this year for a variety of reasons. For those taking a school bus, things will look different. ABC4's Brittany Johnson explains what your kids will be asked to do this school year and shows us the sanitation process underway to help limit the spread of COVID-19.
How safe is it to bus children to and from school during the COVID-19 pandemic? A question prompting concerns from both parents and bus drivers.
Buses will be cleaner than they've ever been before.
Jeremy Wardle, Director of Transportation for Canyon School District, and Kevin Kelson, Custodial Grounds Coordinator, take ABC4 News through the coronavirus sanitation process. All of Canyon's 200 bus drivers will be equipped with disinfectant.
This is the Aqueous Ozone,
which will be sprayed on all of the seats throughout the bus multiple times a day.
It's safe for the students. There's no harm with this stuff.
The driver will go back and wipe down high touch points with a microfiber rag, which can remove germs.
Anywhere the kids are touching with their hands would be considered a high touch point.
These are the high touch points that you were talking about.
Correct. The time is the wiping down of everything.
Right now I'm going to show you the cleaning process that each bus driver will take between the routes on a daily basis. We sped up the video for timing purposes, but in 9 minutes I was able to complete the entire cleaning process.
I don't think we'll need more bus drivers because we're hoping that there'll be enough students that take advantage of the online
To further ensure safety for the 10,000 students in the Canyon School District who depend on the bus to get to school, buses will also undergo a deep cleaning process each night.
At night, we'll have a different sprayer that we use that is hypochlorous acid, and that's a stronger disinfecting agent that the EPA has recommended in place of use of harsh chemicals.
Each bus will also have an alcohol-based hand sanitizer, sanitation wipes, and hydrogen peroxide. Students are required to wear masks or face shields while on the bus. Bus drivers will have extra in case a child forgets. Riders will also be social distanced.
Anything we can do to minimize the spread as far as seating kids farther apart, having mandatory seating assignments for students, and then even sitting students in order by stop and grouping them by family if possible to help with contact tracing and things like that.
We really are working together as a district, all together, as well with other districts, trying to come up with the best solution, the best possible solution, the best possible plan for our students.
Reporting in Sandy, I'm Brittany Johnson, ABC4 News.
If your child is sick during the school year, Canyon's officials are asking that they stay home. You can read the school's back-to-school action plan, the district's plan, in its entirety by going to our website, abc4.com. And while you are there, we also have each of the Utah school districts' plans, which have already been released. Their proposed back-to-school plans are waiting for you right there. If you'd like to know the plan for your student's school, they will be waiting for you. And as we get more information, we will update that for you as well. Thank you so much for joining us for this special ABC4 Town Hall, Academics Amid the Pandemic. We appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you right back here for the news at 10 o'clock.